Peter. I was invited by a friend of mine last weekend, and I met a girl there, and we talked about wine.
Okay.
She told me she loves to drink Napa Valley wine. So I asked her, what kind of Napa Valley wine do you drink? She said, Napa Valley wine. I only drink Napa wine.
Oh, okay.
Why is Napa wine that famous?
Napa Valley arguably makes the finest Cabernet Sauvignons in California, which probably means America, although I'm sure that I will have now suddenly annoyed quite a few winemakers in Washington state, particularly the Walla Walla appellation, who also make, absolutely fabulous wines. But I think it's got to be said that when you are talking about the very finest terroir in the United States, the general perception, particularly if you're talking California, is that Napa has it. The best parts of Napa Valley, the most expensive vineyard land in the United States, rivaling the top terroirs of France and various other places. And so if you're making Napa Valley wine, it better be good because you're working on expensive land and you're charging a lot of money for the wine. So yes, Napa Valley is very, very famous, known for red and white wine. Most famously, I would argue, for Cabernet Sauvignon, but also for Chardonnay.
So are Cabernet Sauvignon and Chardonnay the wines that Napa is famous for?
Yes, that would be my argument. Those are the wines for which Napa is famous, even though I have tasted some absolutely excellent Napa Valley Zinfandels. And, there's some good Pinot Noir.
You haven't ever told about it.
Keeping it a secret. So yes, to the long story, Cabernet Sauvignon and Chardonnay for reasons of A, the excellence of production, and B, the potential to get the highest prices per bottle.
So the answer is yes.
What was the question?
I forgot.
Yes, then the answer is definitely yes. What is the best Napa Valley wine? Yes. I don't want to single them out because what happens then is the ones I didn't single out are somehow felt to be less good, which is not the case. The beauty of Napa and its quality is that there are so many of them. Which wine do I want to drink the last glass of? And that changes.
I've never thought about that last glass.
I never saw you thinking before. This is good to know.
So this is like my birthday today.
That's true.
A bit of ignition here.
There you go. It's his birthday today. There's more than one way of looking at wine. What a birthday present.
Yeah.
If you want to really get serious for me about a wine, then one should almost say which wine is the most impressive, and then which wine would you feel comfortable drinking half a bottle or more? I mean, I don't advocate that anybody should drink a bottle of wine.
You need to be sober to think about it, right?
Yeah. And so it's very important to me. I always think about wine both ways. What do I think of it right now as I've opened it, tasting it? And would I like to drink the last glass of that wine, meaning between two people to share a whole bottle?
Today I went to a supermarket and I bought 2 bottles of Napa Valley wine, which I can usually find very easily at other supermarkets too. I would like to taste them with you.
For sure.
And you tell me what you think about it.
Okay. Do you want me to taste them blind?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Oh, you already pulled the corks.
Yep.
Professional.
Getting better.
You want to do them one by one or
One
two
by one.
together? Okay. So this is like mulberry red. It's a very, very deep red. It's opaque. It shows very little age. It's beautiful. Very powerful nose. Some strawberries, some blackberries, and I'm thrilled to some chocolate. And I'm thrilled to say no evidence of serious over oaking. And I'm thrilled to say that because I sometimes say to winemakers who ask me what I think of their wine, it's a pity you're so wealthy. Because if you had less money, you would have used less oak and made a better wine. But this wine doesn't suffer from that problem. Of course, when you make wines of this size, inevitably there's a little bit of VA, which shows up on this wine.
What do you mean by being inevitably?
Inevitably, because when you make high-octane wine, you're more likely to get a discernible amount of volatile acidity. That's not to say that it crosses a regular threshold for most tasters or a legal threshold. But it's there on every wine. And I do find that some of the bigger wines, more alcoholic wines, it's more obvious. So there's the oak there, and it wasn't that obvious on the nose, a little bit too much on the palate, and not particularly well integrated, but it's a lovely mouthful of wine. Even though it's got good acidity and good tannin, it doesn't have such strong tannins, and it's a wine that can be consumed now and can last for a while. I feel like there's a good dose of Cabernet Sauvignon on this wine, but I would also feel like it's softened a little bit.
Do you think it's well balanced?
I think it's a very good wine. What do you think?
I think so too.
Yeah.
It's not really too heavy.
It's well done.
Yeah. Do you want to see what it is?
I do.
Yeah. Louis Martini.
Cabernet Sauvignon 2016.
It's a big brand.
A relatively big brand, known for quality too. How much was that?
It was 30 something.
30 something. Not bad at all.
Yeah, sometimes Napa wines are too heavy, too oaky, with a full power.
You know, the interesting thing is that they sort of got that reputation. And I think many of the winemakers believe that that's what their customers are expecting.
But very often it's so boring.
Yes, I prefer elegance and complexity versus power and punch. Now, the very best Napa wines, can you get elegance and complexity? Yes, not only that, but you can have elegance and complexity and power and punch. Even though it doesn't sound elegance and complexity, that it would be compatible with power and punch. But the very, very best Napa wines manage to do that. But then they cost hundreds of dollars.
That's me. In human world.
Okay.
Sorry about
I won't say anything about your price.
priceless.
Typically for me, the Napa Valley has a fingerprint. When you've got a Napa Valley wine in your mouth, you kind of know. Particularly when you've got the better the quality, the more you realize that's Napa. And this one's got it. Not in a great amount, but it's got it.
You don't want to let me know about it, right? Too much secret.
We don't drink a lot of Napa Valley wines.
That's true. I like this wine pretty much.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second Napa wine.
Okay. So this one is pretty similar to the previous one, except it doesn't have the density of color. It doesn't have the beautiful robe. There was a richness to this color. This has got pretty much the same color, but there was a richness to the color on the first one that this wine doesn't have. It's also the same though. It's mulberry, it's very, very dark, it's ruby, it doesn't show any age, and it's opaque. This one's got on the nose, a sort of a slight character of orange zest. But this one is not Bordeaux blend. At least I don't think so. This one is Zinfandel.
You're right.
This one is Zinfandel.
You're right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're really surprised.
Well, thank you. I'm not sure how to take that.
The main grape variety is
Zinfandel. Yeah. It's a very good wine. Very complex. Very smooth. Well integrated tannins and not rough tannins. Very fine tannins. Remember I was saying that I've tasted some beautiful Zinfandel wines. You know, that to me would be in that sort of class. Now, this isn't all Zinfandel, it's just mainly Zinfandel. It's very, very good. Want to open it? How much is this one?
In the
Okay,
40s.
this is getting expensive. Yeah, but it shows.
Because I always find this wine on the shelves. I just chose this wine.
Okay,
Prisoner.
the Prisoner.
Yeah.
It doesn't say here what the blend is.
Zinfandel, Cabernet Sauvignon, some Merlot, and some minor grape variety too.
It's got high alcohol, but it handles it well. Beautiful package.
Yeah.
It's made by very knowledgeable wine people.
It's true.
Very, very expensive, but it's beautiful wine. For me, it's better than the first one.
And do you think in the 40s the price is acceptable?
If you're doing Napa Valley, that's what it costs. Unfortunately, that's what it costs. Can you make wine of this quality in other parts of the world for less money? Probably. The Napa Valley is capable of delivering consistent, very high quality, which this wine does.
I went to Whole Foods to buy these 2 bottles of wine. The average price of a Napa Valley wine there was about 50s and 60s.
Yeah, it's quite possible. But Whole Foods was always somewhat more expensive than other supermarkets.
Today, I also wanted to buy 2 grapes, table grapes. I thought they were $3.99 per bag, but it was $3.99 per pound. It was more than 2 pounds.
Oh, okay.
So I refunded it. I couldn't buy it.
You got to be really wary of wine people who eat grapes because there's a better way to do it. One has to have the patience. One has to tread on the grapes and make them into wine and defer your pleasures. Eating grapes is like, I don't know, infanticide.
That's interesting because I can buy a bottle of $60 wine, but I cannot buy $4 grapes.
So now we get into the realm of philosophy. $4 of grapes, too much. $60 of wine, reasonable price. So that's about priorities. What's important to you, what isn't? Some people would say, I mean, you got to be crazy. You know?
That's true.
And other people would say, I agree with you. I'm one of those who agrees with him.
You know what? When my wife got married to
When
me,
your wife got married, to who?
to me.
Oh, you mean when we got married?
No, when my wife
When your wife got married.
married to
So
me.
you have the same kind of marriage as me, which is, it's enough for one of us to be married. So we chose my wife to be married.
Too late for it, Peter.
And you're married to your wife, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. When your wife got married, then?
When we got married.
When you got married, okay.
Yeah. She thought I was crazy because I spent so much money for wine.
That was
I kept-
very, very clever. He dates this girl and he's spending a lot of money on wine. And she thinks he's crazy to spend so much money on wine, which means she thinks he's crazy. And she still marries his ass. Okay? So why? Because she thought he was really, really wealthy, that he could spend so much money on wine after all. So how did she take the shock?
I told her I spent more money than my salary to buy wine.
It's an unstable kind of situation, but it's one I sympathize with.
And then I took her to very, very good wineries in Europe.
In Europe.
Yeah. And she tasted the wines at the wineries and she thought wine is fantastic.
So now she also spends more than her salary on wine.
Which is probably unfortunate to me.
Well, the fortunate thing for him is he doesn't have a salary, so not a problem.
I have wine.
이럴 땐 이 와인 네이버 밴드로 놀러 오시면 와인을 잘 몰라도 편하고 싸게 사실 수 있도록 제가 많이 도와드립니다. 다들 만족하시고 좋아하시더라고요.